Hello, hello. I'm wearing glasses today. My eyes are very sensitive, and yesterday that was very bright. It's a little later today in the day, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what inspired me before I show you another piece of my early work. And just to note down, it's the Easter weekend, Saturday the 4th of April 2026. Time is going so fast, and outside there's a lot of activity with motorcycles, so right now it's quiet, but just in case it gets loud. And what I wanted to mention has really made a huge difference in my life is the fact that I discovered the artist we know as David Bowie, David Robert Jones from London, England. And I was a very young kid, not speaking any English, when I was sick home from school, and they were having a concert on the television, and at the time there was only there were only three channels to choose from, and no remotes. You had to always push. So I was sitting on the floor in front of the TV, and I remember, desperately looking for something of value to watch, and the only thing that was of value and odd at the time to me, it was Musikladen Extra from Bremen, city of Bremen, Germany, and it was David Bowie on television, and I kept switching the channels, but I kept coming back to that one and watching. In the end, watching the whole concert to the end, and just sitting there and going, wow, this is so weird. And I like it. Didn't understand a word. It just, just the whole, it was Carlos Alomar and Brian Eno and a bunch of other guys. Sorry for not remembering all the names. And that just planted a seed that turned into something huge in my life. It was the moment I felt I found my tribe. And when I say tribe, it was the being unique and also being artists. And at the time I was already drawing since I was, as long as I could hold a pen. I was really enjoying coloring books and just all kinds of different creative things already when I was really little. And going through the different music from, there was ABBA at some point, and Elvis passed away 77, and And I was it was so much Elvis on the television, and I really enjoyed, kind of getting caught up, catching up on those years long before I was even born. And that was leading up to discovering David Bowie. So then, when I started, even before art school, I started drawing some portraits, copying from photographs from magazines or record, actually from an album, or several different. I will show you at some point. I then, when I found my way to art school, which was a little cumbersome, even though I knew I was an artist all my life, it was not until I moved to the US, and I studied, the first place I studied at Visual Communications at the Art Institute. And my teacher, one of the homework exercises were given to us, and she said, whatever you do, don't do pale skin, because it's very challenging to get it to be that color that we copying. Again, it's for a purpose of exercise, but no, it had to be David Bowie. I didn't care. And the exercise, it was with markers at the time. Computers were just starting to come into the picture, but we were still doing everything, so many things still by hand, which is great. I'm very glad I had that experience. So we did an exercise called Stipplism, which is like pointillism, but you stipple. You have a pen, and I didn't bring any. It doesn't matter. You just do like this for hours and hours and hours. And you're not allowed to use black. You only use the printing colors, which are magenta, cyan, and yellow. CMYK would be the black. Yes, exactly, magenta, cyan, magenta, and yellow, CMY. And to demonstrate, it's that you understand how our package, anything we use, even this, here's the blessing book, packaging, the advertising on paper that comes through the mailbox and magazines and so on, everything that's printed. There are different techniques. I'm just talking about the if you take something printed, and you take a magnifying glass, I almost said microscope, to it, you can see that it's made of dots. In this one very common technique, how today the printing is done, if you know more about it, then I'm not up to date, because it's not really that important to me. So I ended up with a very cool piece. And yes, it's not the fair colored skin. and you already see it in the back. I'm about to get it. And it actually ended up, being exhibited in school and then on multiple occasions again. So I show you this piece, and then there is a part 2 to today's sharing. So hold on. I'm gonna bring it close so you can see the point, the little dots. And then down around the neck, it's a little more coarse because I think my hands were just hurting. And we had, there was a deadline, we had to turn it in. And the interesting, it obviously it's a little bit, has its own flavor of, you can see the likeness, the eyes are a different size, but essentially, and I do have I found the image. I don't have the original image, unfortunately, anymore, so I would love to show it, but it's on the internet, you could find it, and you can see the difference. What is interesting is it's a little bit like when you look at Andy Warhol's the pop art prints that he did, the portraits of all these different people, and because I didn't listen to my teacher, and this came out of my efforts, it set the tone of so many things I ended up painting later, like what I showed you yesterday, Celebrate Always, for the skin tone, it's just, this is really, like they say so many times, the accidents are often the best, results in your art. They lead up to something different. So let me set this down and be right back. Continue with part 2. Continue with part 2. So yesterday I already mentioned that I moved to Italy and renovated the home here. And then last year I had an invitation to do a solo show at a wonderful gallery right here in town. And then the talk was, let's do another exhibition right after that with a two women show. And here in the region, here in town, I'm near Imperia, Liguria, is also a sculptor lady my age that is known for large-scale work, much wood as the medium, and it's the Sophie Dickens. So you can, if you're interested, you can look up. She has a website, unlike me. It's coming. So I actually was looking for one other artist to bring in for the following my solo exhibition, and she was very busy with something going on with I believe it was 6 different artists from from Italy. No, actually, beyond. I did not expect her to say that she would want to exhibit with me, but she did. I contacted her because she knows so many artists, and I said, do you know an artist that would like to exhibit with me for the month of August last year? And when she said she wanted to go ahead and do that, I went with the gallery owner, director, Gabriella Manfredi. I went with her to Sophie's studio, and in the very end of our meeting, and kind of having some conversations on the pieces that would be nice to bring in, we discovered that we are like, I love David Bowie, we're all like fans, and she is British, and that sparked in me when I came home that same day, I was like, oh, we should do something with that as a theme for the poster, because we immediately, it was kind of all happening short notice, and it was all between me and Gabriella to plan it, because Sophie certainly didn't have the time to worry about the poster, so to speak. So as a to underline the fact that how long I have already been a fan, and David as a big inspiration to my artistic journey, I sent several pictures that I drew, this being one of them. I sent over to Sophie and to Gabriella also, and then that is how something I did way early in my career as an art school exercise ended up on the poster that I'm about to show you. Now this poster is laminated, or better, it's behind plastic, so I'm not so sure how this is gonna show. Let's have a look. So this turned into the poster of the exhibition that's opened August 1st last year, and we extended it to the first weekend of September because there's a big expo here in town, and that was made sense to still keep our work up for that. And then Sophie needed her work back, and we concluded that. But I guess you can read it okay, so that is how the exhibition came about. And yeah, it was an experience in itself. The gallery owner, she was referring to her as the, she's Italian, so she has she speaks very well English though. The idea, of bringing in the female artists and their powers. Yeah, maybe if you want to know more about it, you can find it online, where she writes about it. She has a Facebook account, and then there's also the gallery page, which is part of a foundation, because it's creating funding to rebuild. The foundation has done some wonderful work already by being part of rebuilding the local theater here, which is a very unique piece of architecture, and they restored it. It was in shambles, and now they have another project pending, which is for the next years, something. And by exhibiting with the gallery, I was able to contribute in my own humble way, and also Sophie did, and we will continue to do so. More information on all the details, what I'm mentioning here, you can find sorry you can find on the you know what, I'm gonna link it below. There we go. Ta-da! Easy. So, and then of course, I had to bring in the song to go with it. Heroes. I believe that's already a nice little story in those two pieces, and there's more to come. And the question was raised where I am from. If you're interested to learn more about me, just go. For the time being, I have an Instagram account, I have a new YouTube channel, and you can just read more up on my background, growing up in Germany and immigrating to the US at age 23, and then being in the US for very many years, 26 years. And those were important years. They have shaped me of who I am today. And I'm most grateful for having been allowed, having had that opportunity to, experience what all I have experienced in those years. And everything up until now was preparation. Maybe this is something that you can feel into, if that applies to your life as well. So the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that was experienced to this point, this year, 2026, and prepared to continue on. For what exactly, it's not really clear. It is unfolding, and it is unfolding right now. And I have been sick for a longer time, with low energy, little energy, and for some years I also was not pursuing my work, and rather working together with another artist as in a partnership. And now I'm returning to me. So if you find this information or this video of interest, hopefully it's at the very least entertaining. And then do come back, there's more coming. And for today, I will finish here. And yes, I would love to offer prints. I had an inquiry about prints, and you know, my art is available for sale. If you see the talent in me and you would like to support that, you know where to find me. That would be awesome. I would love to make your home a happier place, you know, raise the energy of your environment and you lifting me up so I can do my work. Yes, let's do it. So on that note, I'll be back tomorrow. I love you guys. So grateful. And you know, Easter Sunday, I don't have a family, never had children, so it's me and my dog. Once again, another holiday, but this is changing. I can feel it. Okay, so see you tomorrow. Ciao. I love you.